Hello students, welcome. Welcome to MGM Education. This is English Honors. We are going to study now the literature, literary characteristics of Restoration Age. See, the Restoration Age brought a great change after the uh, breaking the past records. The literature of this period marked a complete change than that of the Renaissance literature. It has brought a new spirit, that is the spirit of prevailing systems of the society. So linking to historical and social background, here the then society was uh, overwhelmed by corruption and moral laxity, which were predominant in the social life. You know this. So in this literature there are certain features we are going to focus. Point number one is rise of neoclassicalism and imitation of ancient talent. And imitation means copy of French masters, ancient masters. Then it adopted the principles of correctness and appropriateness. And the last point is realism and formalism. Okay, so these are the main characteristics, I mean literary characteristics of Restoration period. So let us focus on the chief characters. Number one is rise of classicism, neo neoclassicism. See, the people in this time believed in presence of thought, means the reality and the material. That means they are very much materialistic. If you quote the words of Modi and Lovett, you will find that in all direction it appeared a disposition, means living out, towards the conservation and modernization. Man has learned to fear individual enthusiasm, and you know, mm, therefore, therefore, what did they try to discourage it by setting up the ideals of conduct in accordance with the reason. Means these people are very much guided by the reason, and literature was very much guided by the reason on the basis of the social standard at that time. Okay, the rules of etiquette means behavior, social convening were established there, and it has focused much on the problem of life and becoming that of self-expression within the narrow bounds which were thus prescribed. All these tendencies reflected in the literature, whatever found in the society during that time. Okay. And Dryden has also written some poetry, prose, whatever novels, and during this time has focused on these points only. Tactically, they are agreed upon the rules and the principles in accordance with which they should write, and these are the called literary conventions they have adopted in the literature, and they have put more focus on the seriousness of the subject matter, right, while writing the poems and novels, prose, and all these things. But the second point, as I was telling you about the imitation of ancient masters, here we will find one thing, that the authors of this period uh, were turned to the ancient writers and copied them. Okay, particularly the Latin writers for their guidance and inspiration. It was generally believed that the ancients had reached the excellence in their poem, and the modern poets of this period also copied their classical literature. And then gradually grew the neoclassical school of poetry. Here, what happened, they directed all their attention to the slavish imitation of rules and ignored the importance of subject matter. The habit was noticeable in the age of Dryden, particularly. Yeah, it strengthened in the succeeding age of Pope also. So the second point is imitation or copy of the French masters. That means what? See what happened actually during the previous age of Elizabethan literature. You will see that Shakespearean's writings, dramas, particularly Midsummer Night, has been criticized, and the writing they maintained was now being outdated. Okay, and these people they demanded means of this age, restoration age. They demanded that poetry and drama should follow the style contemporarily. That means to which they had become accustomed in France. So during Elizabethan period, Italy literature has been its ground here in English literature. Means they are influenced by Italian literature, and now here France literature, France influence has increased, which showed itself English literature for next century. See 100 years. ତାମାନେ ଏ ସମୟରେ ପିଲାମାନେ ରେଷ୍ଟୋରେସନ୍ ଏଜ୍ରେ କ'ଣ ହେଲା ଇଟାଲୀର ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସ ରହିଥିଲା, ତାପରେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଲିଟରେଚରର ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସ ରହିଲା। ଏମାନେ ଟ୍ରାଏ କଲେ ଏଲିଜାବେଥନ୍ ପିରିୟଡ଼ର ଇଟାଲୀର ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସକୁ ବାଇକଟ୍ କରିକି ଏବେ ଫେରେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସର ବି ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସକୁ ବଢ଼େଇଲେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଲିଟରେଚରର। ଆଉ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଲିଟରେଚର ୱାଜ୍ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟରାଇଜ୍ଡ ବାଇ ତିନିଟା ଜିନିଷ ପିଲାମାନେ। lucidity means clear written writing, and vivacity, right, and rationality mane guided by the reason. So ताको आ गोटे प्रकार कहबा गले तीनटा फॉर्म ऊपर ताकर अटेंशन थिला, एक करेक्टनेस, दुई एलिजेंस एंड finish तीनटा, right. It was essentially a literature of polite society, नम्रता बेले बिहेवियर ऊपर ट्रेस देथिले, एटिक्विटी ऊपर टेस्ट देथिले। एटिक्विटी मीन्स बिहेवियर। तो सोशल जिनस गुड़िक सबू आंकर पोएट्री रे एवं नॉवेल्स रे ड्रामा रे रिफ्लेक्ट होता है समय रे, एंड हैड ऑल द मेरिट्स एंड ऑल द लिमिटेशंस ऑफ सच ए लिटरेचर that has been adopted in French, was greatly influenced the literature of restoration period. Okay, एटा W.H. Hudson ए जिनसटा कहते तुमको lucidity, vivacity, rationality are the main characters of restoration age, and they borrowed this from French literature. Okay, in which the intellect was in the ascendant and critically faculty always controlled बोली कुछ है। तापर देखो तापरे it was this congenial माने comfortable literature that English writers now learn to look for guidance। बोले ए जिनस से माने गाइडेंस हिसाब रे फ्रांस टू बोरो करके अडॉप्ट करिवार आरंभ कर देले, राइट। सो देयर वाज a spirit of good sense, principle of regularity, एटा मध्ये एमाने यूज कले while writing the verses or poems you can say, and in verse well kono dui line poem pilamane prominently these were now cultivated at the expenses of feelings and spontaneity automatically to feeling ta amraibo। and how good kotha the growth of the growth of tomorrow kono je आर्टिफिशियल टाइप ऑफ पोएट्री, आर्टिफिशियल माने कृत्रिम कविता इनएविटेबल हो गला से समय माने एडॉप्ट कले। ओके, तापर जदि हम देखिबा दी फ्रांस राइटर्स मानकर राइटिंग्स पर्टिकुलरली तमरो कर्नेलिन एंड रशीना, तापर मोलियर एंड बॉयल्युई, एमाना जाक तमरो एमानकर गुड सेंस को आइडल भलिया माने एडॉप्ट कले केबे ए रिस्टोरेशन पीरियड रे। English writer completely copied, imitated well copied, मतलब blindly copied the France literature style, the wit, the delicacy, the refinement, सब बुझाको तांको ठारू adopt करिकी आंके restoration comedy रे, drama रे, poetry रे adopt करिवार आरंभ कले। এটা মনে রাখতো ট্রেজেডি রে ওকে tragedy মানে the story which ending with the tragic okay so ଏଠୁ ଆମେ କ'ଣ ଜାଣିଲେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସଟା ଆମର ରେଷ୍ଟୋରେସନ୍ ଏଜ୍ର ପୋଏଟ୍ରିକୁ ବା ଲିଟରେଚରକୁ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟର ହିସାବରେ କାମ କଲା ଓକେ ଏବେ ଦେଖିବା ପିଲାମାନେ ଥାର୍ଡ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟର ଲିଟରାରୀ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟର ଅଫ୍ ରେଷ୍ଟୋରେସନ୍ ପିରିୟଡ଼ ସେଟା ହେଉଛି କରେକ୍ଟନେସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଆପ୍ରୋପ୍ରିଏଟନେସ୍ ଓକେ ଏ ପିରିୟଡ଼ରେ ଯେତେ ସବୁ ରାଇଟିଂ ହେଇଛି ଇଟ୍ ଲେକ୍ଡ କ୍ରିଏଟିଭିଟି ନିଜର କ୍ରିଏସନଟା ନଥିଲାନି ଖାଲି ଇମାଜିନେସନକୁ ସେମାନେ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ କଲେ ଏଇଟା ଆମେ ଫିକ୍ସନ ବୋଲି କହିପାରିବା ଫିକ୍ସନ ଉପରେ ବହୁତ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ରହିଲା ମାତ୍ର କରେକ୍ଟନେସ୍ ମାନେ ଏଠି କ'ଣ ନା ଜଷ୍ଟ ଦେ ହାଭ୍ ଆଭଏଡ୍ ଦି ଏନ୍ଥୁଇଜମ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ they developed a moderate style of writing a poetic technique ରେ ଆଚ୍ଛା ତାପରେ ଦେଖିବା ନ୍ୟୁ ଟେଣ୍ଡେନ୍ସିରେ କ'ଣ ହେଇଛି which reached its climax in the age of Pope is very clearly marked in the literature of Restoration period. To Dryden, Dr. Johnson applied the term. Dryden ସେତେବେଳେ dominating ଥିଲା ତାକୁ ଜନସନ୍ କହୁଛି ଯେ ଅଗଷ୍ଟିଆନ୍ saying that the Dryden did the English literature of the age of Augustine बल्कि से कହୁଛି which was found a brick and left of marble देखो Dryden was the first representative of the new ideas that were to dominate the English literature till the end of 18th century okay next important literary character of restoration period होଉଛି ପିଲାମାନେ realism and formalism ଏଇ ଉପରେ ସେମାନେ ବହୁତ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେଇଥିଲେ so to say that the period restoration period literature is guided by realistic ideas that's what is called realism it was very much concerned with life in London and with the details of dress fashion manner right so all these things they adopted a realistic manner so that's why we can say that their writings were guided by realism and formalism okay students thank you very much for watching this is all about the literary characteristics of restoration period